First episode of Tequila, Tactical Tequila Podcast.
That's awesome. This is it. We're rolling. We're live.
Yeah.
It's good. That's what I like to hear, finally.
Well, the big news for Tactical Tequila's podcast is that we were not on the Epstein list.
This is true.
But
we wouldn't have gone to that island anyways because they had shit tequila there probably. So.
Wait a minute. But have you seen the list?
My name's not on it.
Because I think somebody was talking about Jimmy Kimmel, one of the night people, the night hosts, nighttime host being on it. And he's like, I was not on the list.
Someone like photoshopped it or something is what I was
exactly. So you can deny it all you want. The list knows what the list knows. So
we've been talking about this gentleman for months. Much props to Mr. Matt Wilson over here.
Getting everything
This
together.
is he's done obviously the heavy lift with the room here in Casa Wilson.
And the initial, hey, I want to start a podcast. And you both were like, yeah, we're in. Like, it didn't take no hesitation.
Because Jay and I have been talking about having a podcast for years. It's just we have to like NC-17 the list from certain people.
But the funny thing about it is when I brought it up, you both were instantly like, yes, we're into this. And for as long as I've known both of you, I'd never heard anything about starting a podcast from either one of you. So
that was the thing. We talked about it since we for literal years, and we had thrown back and forth between the two of us. What's it going to be about? What's the audience? What's all these other things? And it was that part of it was never solidified until you came up with the idea. Now it's, hey, well then there you go. We got the opportunity to mix them all together.
Yeah, and so people might be wondering, okay, what's the word? What are the words tactical tequila? What is this? Where did you guys come up with the name? And so obviously the background of us is I'm retired law enforcement at the state and local level here in Las Vegas. Jay's retired federal law enforcement here in Las Vegas, and you work in executive protection. And you were a soldier doing all kinds of high speed, low drag stuff back in the day that I'm sure a lot of it can't be talked about. But we thought we would blend the great stories that, the stuff that we can talk about, the fun stories, the interesting stories, the human life aspect of law enforcement with what we find to be like really our go-to booze of choice now is tequila. Me for like the fact that I love alcohol in general, but I just can't drink a lot of it. It messes me up. But I find that tequila is the one that I can kind of go to. And I think I kind of turned you on to it a couple of years ago. And then we discovered that there's additives in most tequila.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start to go down this rabbit hole of, wait a minute, there's a whole echelon of additive-free tequilas that are being made, very traditional, very artisanal, mom and pop shops in Mexico. So that's where the term, that's where the word tactile is. It's kind of like, a mix of the career and then the love of the agave spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's the two combined, not only just through our experience in lives, but most people have that, coming together of alcohol or what it does, bringing people together, and how it brings out stories and kind of stuff it does. Most people have those same stories. So it was good to get us all together to do ours and kind of be able to, go over the landscape of how we got here and choose different topics to go over and from different angles. And although we all have that same background, we all came to where we are from much different places.
That's true.
What I'm saying? And it just shows, kind of some of the things that these things can bring together, and it's done a pretty good job as far as we're concerned. And those backgrounds are kind of what brought us together. Like yours is way different than mine.
Yeah.
Yet we wind up in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And same from you, even though we grew up in similar areas, similar times. It was a lot different.
Yeah, because I grew up about an hour away from where you grew up in Ohio. And, just by chance, when I worked at the U.S. Attorney's office, I had met you. And then And we instantly became friends at that point.
It all works out.
So, Matt, you're from Ohio, and Jay, you're from like Baltimore, DC.
Born in Ohio, raised in Maryland, moved down south after I graduated, Florida, then moved all around, across the country, and then wound up here, which is weird because this is always where I wanted to be. From the first time coming to Vegas from Cleveland, me and my father came out. This is in the mid '90s. We got on the plane on the way back home, and I said to my father, "There will come a day where I will come to Vegas and I will never leave." And he said, "That makes sense to me." First opportunity. And I spent most of the next 10 years trying to make that happen. And then when I finally got here, I said, "Yep, never leave." And you've been here, you've seen it change and seen it grow.
Yeah, so I was born here back in the day, and but I was born into such a unique circumstance where my dad was a casino executive, and part of that corporate get rid of the mob. Mm-hmm. So never the nefarious side of gaming here in Nevada, but that legitimate side of pushing out mobsters that were skimming, the money from the casinos and ultimately from the tax coffers of the state. And then my mom was a showgirl, and she danced in the strip shows. And so my dad my dad's from England, got his citizenship, immigrates here from London, born and raised, during the war, almost doesn't make it out of the war as a child, and then immigrates here to the States, marries this showgirl from Dallas, Texas, blonde bombshell woman, and the rest was history for me. And so being here growing up, I was kind of this fly on the wall of like, I wasn't just living an everyday normal. You don't live a normal life in Vegas. I don't care where you live. I think being in Vegas is such a unique experience no matter what. But, definitely born into some very interesting times and got to see. And I've watched the city change so many times, from the 90s mega boom, huge casinos, build them bigger, make it themed, put a volcano on it, put a roller coaster in it, make it a castle, make it a pyramid. And then, I watched it dump after '08, and it was a little bit more of a smaller niche feel casino, like the Palms came, and it was like, what are we doing here? And now it's sports.
Yeah.
Now it's a sports town, and it's not just about gaming here in Vegas, where you come to Vegas and it's not just gamble. It's gamble if you like, maybe a little bit, but it's see a world-class show, some of the best food in the world. And then, and now it's, the Knights, the Raiders, the WNBA, we're getting all these teams are interested. And I think NBA and baseball will be next.
So those are the differences, but are there some similarities in this place? Some things that you see that as you've grown up, raised your kids and live here now that were the same as where they were?
Absolutely. It's always, no matter how big Vegas gets, and we're going through this huge growth right now, you drive on the roads, you see the traffic.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm like, I'm living in 1993 again. The Mirage has just opened, all of a sudden they're like, does it make it? It's making it.
Yeah.
And they're like, build. And we had two roads here. We had the I-15 and the 95. There was no 215 arterial. There was no DI, Super Express. Mm-hmm. None of those things existed in the day. And so now we're seeing it again where people are leaving California, where they can come, let's move 300-400 miles east, not have to pay state income tax, not have, homeless people camped outside of my $2 million beach home smoking fentanyl. Not to say that we don't have our homeless issues here in Vegas or our crime issues, but you get a lot of bang for your buck. You see it now in the streets, and the town has always had a level of small town feel.
Yeah.
Like a horrific crime just occurred here a couple days ago where a man murdered a person in a carjacking.
Yeah.
And then was shot and killed by law enforcement. They just got the mom who's, he was the sole provider, religious family. I think they have 9 kids and 7 of them are adopted. The local dealership here finds a van in their stock. And today they just gave her a van. It's paid for. The cops are all there presenting this to her. she's having to deal with this horrific event, but the community will rally. So it's a very small town feel. It's not like it's still organic in a way. It's not like I think like Los Angeles that it's lost its organicness from like what it was in the '80s or what I mean maybe where
Mhm.
you're from. Where I still feel like Vegas is still very kind of small town.
And I think that's purposeful, right? I mean, when you live here, so I've lived all over, but when you live here, people associate your lifestyle of living in Vegas. And it's so different than what we actually do that we purposefully keep community and keep friends just to not be that stereotype that everybody sees for us out here.
Well, I know from my aspect, everybody that I've ever talked to has always been like, "Oh, you live by the strip," or you. That's what they associate Vegas with, and Vegas has so much more than just the strip. Like, there's so much more outside the strip to Las
And it
Vegas.
seems some people are so like take it too far. Like they are so against all those stereotypes associated with Vegas that they go the other way and do not enjoy or experience all that they can because they're taking it the other way.
Mhm.
It's always Vegas versus everybody.
It is. And you see the shirts from other cities,
Yeah.
and you'll see like I have a friend from Detroit. Detroit versus everybody. Everything's everybody, but it really is. I mean, we're our own little place here.
And the thing about Vegas is, for one, I always tell people Vegas should not exist. This place is an island in the Mojave Desert, and if you look at the Mojave Desert as an ocean, we're this little tiny island. It should not exist on the map. It should literally have been a railroad. It was a railroad stop to put water in the steam engine. That was it. And so I always tell people that, so the pro of Vegas is you can come here and completely like a phoenix rising from the ashes. You can turn your whole life around and you can make it here. But if you come here with issues, this town will pimp you out.
Yes.
Yeah. If you got a little bit of a coke problem in rural Oklahoma, you're going to be, walking down Boulder Highway, blowing dudes for rocks and like, where did I go wrong? So Vegas will give you what you give it in energy. It will bring out the best, and you can make a lot of money here, and you can put down roots and reestablish yourself. Absolutely. If you want to get away from something, or Vegas will.
It'll eat you.
It'll eat you. It'll eat you alive.
It'll eat you alive.
And I saw that as a cop here for 20 plus years.
It'll eat you, and it's unfortunate. And other people recognize that as they come here, but it's one of those places where people come and they see the bright lights and they sit in, they see all the stuff that they can do, and they don't recognize that it will eat you.
Yeah.
So, and people come here, they run. We have a huge issue with people come here, because they're wanted and they think they can hide, and you really can't. It's just not the way it works here.
No.
Don't be fooled. Like, come see the bright lights, enjoy the bright lights, check out on vacation, but don't be fooled.
Yeah.
There's always that mirror is a two-way mirror. There's the other side of that mirror that's looking out, watching everything that's happening here.
Oh yeah.
Just the amount of cameras in this city alone, like there's really no place that you can't go that you don't have a camera on you somewhere.
I just did New Year's Eve in New Orleans, and walking through all parts of New Orleans, Bourbon Street, Canal, walking through New Orleans, and being in the safety arena like we've all been in forever, just seeing how it's done other places and how we do it here, as far as the safety and the law enforcement and all those things go, it can't be compared. Even walking out of the stadium after the game on New Year's Day, I said, this would never happen in Vegas. Just the way that they're corralling us out to the street, and the way the cars are on the same street as the walkers, and where the law enforcement officers are sitting. Never. There's no place. Yeah. So they do law enforcement and security and safety here better than any place that I've been, and I've been everywhere. And that's kind of what brought us all here. And as far as the ability to enjoy, good times, friends, tequila with others. We all still came here through our different routes. And how did you get to where you are as far as loving tequila? Like, how did that come about for you?
Funny thing is Ash actually introduced me more to the tequila side of things, like the more robust flavored tequilas. And I mean, that was only just what, 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago.
And
where were you when he introduced it? Just out of the blue?
I think we were at one of the restaurants drinking.
I think it was Grape Street.
Yeah, I think we were at Grape Street in downtown Summerlin, and because the problem, I was on a bourbon kick for a long time.
Yep, I remember that.
And I still enjoy bourbon. I would find myself drinking bourbon, and then next day just
feeling it.
Yeah, feeling it, or waking up at 3:00 in the morning, like. For one, waking up at 3:00 in the morning, like, oh, I guess I'm up now, and then just like a heartburn, or just it was the same. I had the same thing with champagne and wine because I enjoy all those things. So I started doing some research, and I found that the char in the barrel where they store the bourbon, because bourbon, whiskey is just moonshine without the char, the browning of the char of the barrel, and I found that there's a certain segment of the population that's allergic to that molecule in that char. And then I started reading about, tequila is really the only alcohol from a plant. Whiskey's from corn, vodka is a grain spirit from potatoes, or and then wine's from grapes. And then, the agave plant has very medicinal properties to it. So I'm like, oh, let me try some things out. And when you're new to something, you're like, well, that's a pretty decent looking bottle there. That I think I'll buy this one.
Yeah.
And I liked it. And
that's expensive. It must be nice.
Yeah, and I didn't. I felt I didn't have. I woke up the next morning like I'm good. Like I felt okay. And the social lubricant of what alcohol is in our lives. And I felt I could just enjoy it a little bit and not. I didn't have to say not so much that I had to limit it, but I was just like. If I did go down a rabbit hole on a Friday night or a Saturday night with friends or at the house at a party, I was still able to get to the gym maybe 30 minutes later instead of not wanting to go at all.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my thing. And then I remember him talking, and I was like, well, and we start. So I introduced it to him, and then he is just like, oh.
It just like exploded from there.
In normal Matt form, Matt says, "Oh, this is the level you want to be at?
Okay,
let's try this level. Yeah, let's see how it's going."
Well, see, like for me in the alcohol arena, like I was huge into craft beer, loved craft beer.
Remember, you used to make it at your house, and I would drink it.
And
you made this in
I was a home brewer. I actually took second in the state for my Pilsner here in Nevada during one of the homebrew competitions. So, just the whole fascination behind how tequila is made and seeing how it's done the artisanal way as opposed to the mass produced way.
Yeah.
Like it just makes you appreciate what you're drinking more.
So it makes more sense now that you talk about making your own artisanal beer to become it makes more sense now.
Because we love I think as men, I think this is a guy thing. I think we're a little bit more engineered. We have that little bit more wired engineer brain. But to see something of quality, like as a kid, I always loved, like my mom was a designer. So I would see, like she would show me like, this is garbage, this is quality. I can buy this very cheap and we can do the entire hotel carpet here and they'll just replace it in a year. But in the suites, in the executive suite, in the high roller suite, we're going to put this level quality. And so I always found I had this appreciation for artisanal handmade stuff or things that are just engineered and made well. Like it's like a car. You see a car, you're like, that's a 1969, Pontiac Firebird. That's an amazing American engineered car. And then you see today a car, you're like, meh, they all look the same. They're all gray and boring. So what I find is I want something I love mom and pop shop made, artisanal made, small I love the process.
Yep.
And I think the trip to Mexico, which I know we'll cover in another episode, that's where my eyes were really opened to the process.
Yeah.
What are we drinking today, Matt? What is this?
So this is Siembra Valles, the Lowlands Tequila Blanco.
Excellent.
It is very excellent.
I have their ancestral at home, $150 a bottle, and it's almost like a mezcal. It's got a smoke licorice flavor to it, but it's phenomenal.
Jay, what do you have in your glass?
I don't.
Yeah, tell the story, Jay.
I don't like it. I have the same tequila, and I know I catch a lot. I catch a lot from you guys because I take this wonderful tequila that I will more than happily admit you guys opened my eyes to the good from the bad. But, however, as you guys learned and when we were in Mexico, nervously,
which we appreciated.
Yes, it actually played into our benefit.
I cannot drink any alcohol straight, any spirits straight. I had an experience when I turned 21. They made me take. When I say they made me, like any college student, they don't make
peer
you
pressure.
do anything.
Peer pressure.
I took 21 shots of liquor on my 21st birthday. Haven't been able to take straight spirits since. So,
and when we talked about the first episode, or the podcast in and of itself could have been called "Bad College Experience."
Yeah,
because so many people. And then today,
that's so true.
The other night at New Year's Eve party, I can't drink. Oh, like, what are you drinking? I had in champagne flute. I had a little bit of Reposado Tapatio, which is one of my favorites. What are you drinking? Is that champagne? No, it's tequila. Are you drinking in a flute? Yeah, you're actually supposed to drink it in a cairn or a champagne flute, so that you channel the aromas. And they're like, everyone, I can't drink tequila. I had a bad college experience.
I had a bad experience.
Yeah. And I tell people now, I go, you, in all reality, were not drinking real. That's not real tequila. Yeah. That's a mixto. That is a bunch of, like, that is just, and we'll explain it as the podcast goes. But if you're drinking tequila, if you're interested in it and you think, like, wait a minute, these guys are drinking tequila, what is this? Like, I had a bad college experience. You can come back, you know, the prodigal son can return.
Oh, for sure.
You can come back, and we're going to point you towards some tequilas that you sip, or you can mix if mixing is your thing. And I know there's people out there that say, drink what you like. No, you need to drink, in my opinion, the stuff that's being made by Mexicans who are busting their ass, generations and families of people who have been, their great grandparents were making it, and they're employing their children on the fields and the agave, all that world. That's what you need to be drinking. You need to be supporting those people, because they're the ones who are doing it right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's true.
Speaking of tequila, I need probably a little bit more there, bud.
And yes, don't drink it incorrectly like we all did.
Yes, because we all do stupid. If you're playing, don't play games with good tequila.
Yeah. Don't play games. No. You're not. No drinking game.
Yeah, no drinking.
And it wasn't just so, coming from Ohio like we did. One of my best friends growing up, 8th grade, 7th grade, out in the country, in rural Athens, Ohio, we would get a 12-pack, and you would just drink and drink and drink.
Mm-hmm.
My body finally said, nah, no more beer. And then it finally said the same thing, no more vodka. Yeah, no more. And then, so it finally, after, 30 plus years of doing it, said, okay, you can drink this like an adult.
Mm-hmm.
No more drinking like an idiot. If you drink like an adult, you can drink this, and then you can enjoy it, as I've been lucky enough to do here for a couple of years.
And see, for me, I started out with Zima and Smirnoff Ice. No, like that was literally like.
Did you go right at the Boone's Farm?
No. I had Boone's Farm a couple times, but that was it.
2020?
Yeah. Because in Ohio, I mean, that's what they did.
That's
Ohio. And from there, I went to Corona, and then started going to other beers. And then once I moved, over to Belgium, the mecca of beer, than a
the beer
the
in Belgium.
yes,
Come on,
it's
man.
amazing.
Come
Like you
on.
can't get better beer anywhere else
No.
in the world.
I went there for 2 days and just said, "Let me try that. Let me try that. Let me," and just
I lived there for 3 years, so
oh,
I
it's like
tried
going
as
to
many
eat.
beers as I could.
It's like first time I went to India eating at a
Mhm.
restaurant. I love Indian food. I told the waitress, "You don't have to tell me what's in it. Just bring it. Every meal something different. I don't want to hear what type. No, just bring it. I'll try it." And that's the way it was with beer in Belgium. Just bring it.
And see, like with tequila, we've all had pretty much an open mind now with the stuff that we have tried. And, I know you take our recommendations
Yeah.
based on what we have. And, I think that over the last, well, since our trip to Mexico, like I've grown my tequila collection a lot.
Significantly, yeah. And I'm kind of on the exact
But you were all in
opposite.
accordance with Customs and Border Patrol about what you could bring over.
Of course.
Yeah.
We didn't get secondary screening because our skin color is a little lighter than you, Jay. But
I'm not gonna lie, I had to do some unpacking. And when it comes to trying all the new stuff and doing all the different things, I'm not in as good a position for that as you guys because a vast majority of my tequila drinking is done out. Bars, restaurants, and places where they've got them all sitting up back there on the stands, and you can't really tell what's good. You can only tell what's more expensive. And so
Mhm.
I find myself all the time taking a picture of what they have at the bar and sending it to you guys and saying,
what am I ordering?
What am I ordering here?
Yeah.
So what we need to do is you guys, we'll let Matt take care of this because he's the one that'll probably come up with it. We need to come up with some type of app where we can take a picture of what's on the bar and they can tell you what the good stuff is. The Shazam for tequilas.
That would be a good idea.
Trademark.
Trademark that right now. Shazam for tequila. Because I find myself.
You sent me pictures and I'm like, oh wait, look at that in the back. Move that bottle to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. Because I don't do a lot of drinking at home. I mean, I have at home the stuff that we got on our trip, and I love those brands. And I will always drink my Fortaleza. I'll always drink those 3 or 4 that I fell in love with there. But when I'm out, which is 99% of my drinking, I'm either calling you or asking you or sending you a picture. I mean,
Mhm.
you don't want to plow through the stuff we brought home. Fortaleza is so hard to get and find anymore.
Yeah. I do not want to plow through it.
Yeah.
No, not so.
And you can still get good stuff for home and keep the treasure, the unicorns, what we call the unicorns. Like, all right, we'll save this for, when that special friend's in town, or you got that amazing news, or, there's something happened great at work, and you can, hey, let's celebrate a little bit.
Or the Dolphins win the Super Bowl, whatever.
Yeah, or the Dolphins win the Super Bowl, because we know the Raiders are not going to win the Super Bowl.
So yeah, that's kind of the other way to look at it is so many of us enjoy it while we're out and about. There's no real way to know what's good as opposed to just what's expensive.
And also what I find we're doing too is we'll go to a place, like I was at that hockey arena in Henderson where the Silver Knights play, which is like the Golden Knights. I guess that's like their minor league team. And they have a beautiful stadium in Henderson. I had never even been in it because, I live in Summerlin. Yeah. It's a minute away from me. It's a drive. Yeah. But we went there for a work party for my wife. And I'm looking at the selection of tequila. And again, it's like, celebrity garbage, overpriced, garbage, $1 billion advertising revenue garbage. And then I walk to the other side of the bar and I look up, Siembre. I'm like, whoa. Here we go. So, and then I text you guys, hey, FYI, when in Henderson, if you come here. And so I'm just doing like tequila soda with lime.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's such a difference because yesterday, I was out yesterday and I was at a funeral. I was at a wake and, everyone's drinking beer. I love beer, but it's just so hoppy and
it's filling.
Too much. And I'm trying to cut the carbs and I'm just doing a tequila soda with lime. and the only real option I had was Patron. And I don't hate Patron. I don't love Patron. Is there additives in Patron? Maybe, maybe not. I think in the $300 bottles that they're trying to compete with all the fancy bottle garbage that's just got nothing but, vanilla additives and oak extract in there, all this flavoring. I think they probably do. I don't know. I haven't, done any independent research. But, push comes to shove, that's what I'm going to have.
Yeah.
But even if I got stuck somewhere and all they had was a Casamigos, all right, I'm still going to drink the tequila because for me, I just feel like that's the thing that's not going to hurt me the next day.
Yeah.
I can enjoy it at least. But yeah, tasting the good stuff even in my soda water.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's so different.
Yeah. I can go somewhere and and you get some of the garbage, like, it just doesn't taste.
It doesn't taste right. And
it tastes the same.
And
I am all for it. We've had this discussion a million times. I recognize the necessity for additives and the economics behind trying to make money and the need to make it taste the same all the way across. Like myself, I don't like small craft beers. No, I like Bud Light and Mick Ultra. I want it to taste the same if I'm on the beach here, if I'm in this football stadium here, if I'm, in this casino here. I want it the same.
Yeah.
America wants consistency.
America wants consistency.
Yes.
So I understand the need for consistency. So I get all that.
Yeah, this is why McDonald's is so popular.
Yeah.
Because a Big Mac is consistent. It's consistently shitty, but it's consistent. You know exactly. It tastes the same at that one or the one that I drive to in Kansas when I'm in, or if we go, even if we were in Mexico and we stopped at McDonald's, it's going to taste the same. Yeah. There's a consistency. That's their corporate model. You can't do that with Blue Weber Agave. Because
absolutely true.
That field over there got so much more rain. This field over here,
this by the railroad tracks.
This is by the railroad tracks.
Yes.
By all the pollution.
Well, and then it also goes into, are they using rainwater? Are they using well?
Right.
Yeah,
how are they crushing it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, are they doing it through an autoclave, or are they, putting it into the oven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they using acids to strip the sugar?
Yeah.
Which is unfortunately what so much of the garbage that's out there, that's what they're doing. They're using acids. I do not want anything that has to be stripped with acid unless it's got metal. Maybe my car's getting painted. Maybe then use acid. But I don't know. I don't want that in my what I'm putting in my body.
And
the body's a temple.
I am trying my hardest to continue to get the good stuff when I'm out and about. When the establishments are into making money off of selling drinks, so they're going to sell what they can make money on. So I get it.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand that.
And what's nice about Siembra Valles, so this is from the Cascahuin distillery. And so if you look at your bottle of tequila, you can see what's the NOM number, NOM, which is basically the Spanish version of the manufacturing origination number. And that's from the Cascahuin family. And that is one of the distilleries that we toured when we were in Mexico. And it was absolutely eye-opening. It was absolutely amazing to see how much work and time goes into what they make. And I'm telling you right now, you can get a bottle of Cascahuin Blanco at a liquor store for $45.
Some places,
$40. It's not going to break the mess. Nothing crazy. And what they're doing with that versus, versus like 1800, no, why? No, stop. And that's my favorite thing to do now is I love to go to the liquor store, especially the big ones, the huge, humongous liquor stores. And I love to go in there and I love to just hang out for a minute and then point people.
Yeah.
They walk over and they're just looking confused because, it's kind of that over selection issue that we have as humans. Absolutely. Where you give people 50,000 options. They go into high speed wobbles. They can't handle it. Give me one or two, give me three options at the most. And when I see them, that's when I love to say, hey, and I wore my tactical tequila shirt or my hoodie. And I'm like, I'm a little bit of an expert, you need some help. And then I always point them towards something, and they're like, "Oh, it's not that expensive." I go, "No, that's the point. You can go buy a $200 bottle of artisanal stuff. You can buy Siembra Valles Ancestral if you can find it at $150 a bottle
or more.
or more. But you don't have to go spend. Yeah, you don't have to buy the fancy bottle with the stupid bell on top. It looks fancy. It is garbage tequila.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to those stores, right, the big box liquor stores, is there a section that says additive free tequila? Or is it mixed in with the others and you just have to know?
It's mixed in. A lot of the additive free ones don't have signs, but there are a few selections. Like at Total Wine, they do have a few signs next to the bottles that say confirmed additive free or additive free.
And I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah.
Because
on some of the brands?
Yeah.
But at the same time, what you need to do for people like myself who only get it out, there should be a section at the liquor store where I can say, okay, hey, this is the good stuff. It's been separated from the other stuff because at some of these places, they have the ability and the space to do that.
Well,
so I could go take a picture of that section in the store of the good stuff and then run that against the ones when I get to the restaurant.
The problem with your big box stores like Total Wine has a program within their store called Spirits Direct.
Mm-hmm.
And Spirits Direct is when this Walmart of liquor stores calls up a company and says, how many cases of bourbon did you sell last year? And they go, we sold 100,000 cases. And or what's the biggest purchase of cases? How many did our competitors? Oh, they bought 100,000 bottles. We're going to buy 500,000 bottles, but we want you to guarantee us this price and volume. And with volume, you can get a discount. And then they sell that at the regular price and profit the rest.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not incentivized to highlight things that are, and I don't think they really give a shit what's additive free or not. They're just in the business of selling the marked up product, whether it's additive free or not. They don't care as long as it doesn't interfere with their Spirits Direct. Now, I'm sure a manager hears me pointing away, don't buy the Spirits Direct stuff. Now, if they have Spirits Direct deal with an additive free tequila maker, hey man, I'll say, hey, and that's a probably a good deal for the company. Like, whatever, make your money.
Is that something that's separated within the store, the Spirits Direct area, or do you just have to know what it is?
It says it. It's like on the tag, it'll say Spirits Direct, and it's like it's kind of like their little bit of a brand of to say the highlight that. And then what I find is I see things in Total Wine that will say additive free. It doesn't mean anything. Like obviously, if you want to know additive free, there's the app, the Tequila Matchmaker app. You can download this great app on your phone. And this couple that live down in Guadalajara who run this hole that we met, this couple,
Talapaki.
Yeah, in Talapaki in the suburb of Guadalajara, they have actually gone out and done the legwork to certify what tequilas are additive free. So there's an app for your phone, and they have a website if you want to use a website. And there's people on social media that are really highlighting the additive free brands. But, so the Tequila Matchmaker, they do now put stickers, like Cascanes Tequila has stickers from their app, like saying, hey, we're certified additive free. But just because the sign says additive free, that doesn't mean it's additive free.
Yeah.
And people who were additive free have been taken off the list, like Patron. Patron was on the list.
Right, because there's a difference between the abocantes and additives.
Right.
One of the things that they cover while we were down there.
Yep. And as long as they say that they're abocantes, they consider themselves additive free because they don't consider it as the same as additives and abocantes.
Right.
That's the way it works. Smart. Trying to make more money. All right. Well, introductions are in. I think we are want to move on into other topics, other ways. What are you thinking? Ash, Matt?
How long do we want to go? What do we want to do on the first one? Where are we at?
Is that a remote?
Yeah.